I would like to welcome all of you to this seminar on terrorism in South Asia. My name is Joris van Wijk, and I work as an associate professor here at VU University at the Faculty of Law. And this afternoon I will actually only facilitate and moderate the presentations and the discussion that we will have. Introducing four very interesting and very different presentations on terrorism in South Asia. Before going to the content, I would first of all like to thank the organizers of this seminar. Very humble, I will start with the Center for International Criminal Justice, which is the center that I represent. But we haven't done so much apart from facilitating all of this. The second organization involved in organizing this seminar is Enactus. The other sponsor, the most important one I should actually say, is EFSAS, the European Foundation for South Asian Studies. And I think many of the students here know a bit more about it because I just sent around an internship vacancy at EFSAS. EFSAS is an accredited independent non-profit think tank and policy research institution which provides strategic in-depth analysis, research, policy advice and forecasts related to developments in the fields of politics and international relations and conflict management. And it specifically focuses its research on terrorism and Indo-Pakistani relations, more specifically the Jammu and Kashmir conflict, and we will hear about that as well in this afternoon. Also on the prevention of violent extremism and radicalization in the development of counterterrorism strategies, both in South Asia and the West. EFSAS conducts fact-gathering research of actual and potential uses of terrorism as a tactic by state as well as non-state actors. Hey, that refers to the definition of Richards, right? State terrorism and non-state terrorism. In order to provide policy guidance to international organizations, governments and academic institutions. So that's why we're here. EFSAS ultimately wants to facilitate an atmosphere of reconciliation, peace and tranquility. That said, we're happy that all of you are here for this conference. And when I was preparing this introduction, I was thinking, well, terrorism, of course, has captivated us all over the past years, and where initially after 9/11 much attention was given to the South Asian region. Al-Qaeda was present in Afghanistan. Many of the hijackers also had links to either Al-Qaeda training camps. But the last decade or so, attention has shifted more and more to the Middle East as a source of terrorism and as a place where radicalization takes place. In particular in Europe, this shift of focus has become apparent because of the fears that returning foreign fighters from the Middle East come back, or that immigrants coming from the Middle East might radicalize while in Europe, or might already have radicalized before entering Europe. And one almost forgets that radicalization and terrorism in South Asia is still far from over. What's South Asia? Well, I just have this map here, which is made by the Global Terrorism Index. You could say one of the most authoritative statistics on terrorism. And here you can see that South Asia, and typically this includes Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Myanmar, up next to the Middle East, the darkest parts represent where terrorism is most apparent. And you can see that certainly in South Asia this is the case. And I think we're all aware of the incidents happening in Bangladesh, where bloggers have been attacked. Attacks in Afghanistan, terrorist attacks keep on going, but you hardly hear it in the news anymore because they happen so frequently. And for this reason, we're really happy that this afternoon we can focus on South Asia and terrorism in South Asia. We will start with our first presenter, Paul Scott. He will explain the effect of terrorism in South Asia, and well, he will explain that the effects do not only affect that region, but it also has a nexus to terrorism taking place in the West here. So that will be our first presenter. Then we will continue with Ms. Dorothee van Damme from University of Leuven. She will shift her focus to Pakistan and the role of the Pakistani army in sponsoring terrorism. Actually, if you read the news, you can see that it's a recurring theme. To what extent have, in particular, the Secret Services of Pakistan been involved in sponsoring terrorism? Next, Danielle de Polis will elaborate on the origins and nature of Islamic State, or ISIS, in Afghanistan. And to conclude, Mr. Junaid Qureshi will present about the conflict in Kashmir and Jammu and radicalization taking place there on the Pakistani-Indian border. What we'll do this afternoon is each presenter will talk for about 15 to 20 minutes. I will introduce the presenters. After the presentations, we hope to have a really, and that's why we're so happy with this room that we have. We want to have an open discussion with the audience. So if you have any questions that come up because of the presentations, please write them down. After all 4 presentations, we will have a panel discussion, and we have plenty of time for that, 30-40 minutes, to have that discussion.